This week we read Parashat Yitro, which is most famous for the experience of Ma'amad Har Sinai, but which opens with the arrival of Moshe's father-in-law, Yitro, for whom the Parsha is named. Yitro plays a crucial role in the unfolding of Revelation, in that he helps Moshe to create the judicial system which will uphold those laws that are stated in the Torah. However, Yitro is not only linked to what comes after him. A close reading highlights the degree to which Yitro is also connected to that which came before him, namely the war with Amalek, which happened at the end of last week's Parsha, B'Shalach. Amalek, of course, is the ultimate enemy of Israel, who we are commanded to both blot out and remember forever. So how could it be that the paradigmatic wicked outsider and the paradigmatic righteous outsider could be linked so intimately? Both are able to see Bnei Israel's weaknesses clearly, but where one aims to destroy, the other one aims to help create. The first parallel between Amalek and Yitro is linguistic, the language of kabed, which appears in both of the stories. In the war with Amalek, Moshe is not able to hold up his hands because they are too kabed, they are too heavy, and instead they must be supported by Aaron and Hur. Similarly, Yitro sees Moshe again sitting alone and says that the matter is too kabed for him. However, instead of exploiting this weakness, Yitro sees Moshe needing help from the people he's going to appoint. Therefore, we see a pattern of Moshe choosing people based on certain qualities in both of these cases, both Aaron and Hur and the judges that he will later appoint. A second parallel between Yitro and Amalek. Both of them are about judgment. In fact, we can see the form of the battle with Amalek as sitting in judgment. If Moshe were sitting by himself, he would not have survived, and neither would Bnei Israel. However, attacking in a moment of weakness is the opposite of the value of mishpat, of justice. And therefore, to defeat Amalek, a real Beit Din of three, Moshe, Aaron, and Hur together, is necessary, because that is what represents the true measure of justice in the world. Amalek, though, is all about judgment, not justice, either externally or even as a form of internal judgment. And in fact, it is the weakness of Bnei Israel that they are unable to see themselves clearly, to judge themselves and to improve themselves, that makes it so easy for Amalek to come close to destroying Bnei Israel. However, it is because of these weaknesses that Yitro also becomes so important and plays such a crucial role in this story. He needs to establish a system of judgment that can exist outside of Moshe. Therefore, we see this deep relationship between Yitro and Amalek. Both of them see these weaknesses, yet they deal with them in opposite ways. Where Amalek attempts to exploit, Yitro tries to correct. If you allow everyone to engage in judgment, you're able to settle the people and to get them safely to the land. And this is what Moshe realizes ultimately when Yitro instructs him to create all of the courts. Moshe must create a justice system that can exist outside of him, beyond him, both in space and as well as in time. And this idea is highlighted as the qualities that Yitro looks for in a judge become clear. These qualities for these judges are about integrity and not about wisdom. And in this way, the qualities for a warrior and the qualities for a judge are the same. In both cases, we need Anshe Chayil, people of strength and people of integrity. The defeat of those who prey on the weak does not come through those who are super strong, but instead through those who have steadfastness in their faith, in their belief, and in their devotion to God's cause. So if we learn from Yitro and from Amalek that everyone must acknowledge their limitations, the question then becomes, how do you handle those limitations? Do you deny them, or do you adjust and readjust going forward as is necessary? And the way you answer this question has much to do with the acceptance or of the denial of God's place in the world. Amalek denies God by undermining the usual rules of fair warfare, and Moshe is able to defeat him only because he fully puts the matter in God's hands. Similarly, at Ma'amad Har Sinai, Moshe goes up a mountain to submit the community to God's will. However, Yitro understands that maintaining the viability of God's will is only possible through having the whole community with Moshe up on the proverbial mountain, even as they're forbidden from touching the real one. Rather than having a single Beit Din, as we have with Moshe, Aaron, and Hur in the war against Amalek, the whole community must buy into the system, partly because Yitro gives them a mechanism to do so. Yitro's concern then is about both mishpat, justice, and judgment. Justice is not just about being impartial. It also means helping the weak. So then if Amalek and Yitro represent two sides of the same coin, they are also the two possibilities through which Bnei Israel must choose. Either they can be like Mitzrayim and like Amalek, the people in their past who exploit notions of tzedek and mishpat for their own gains. Or they can be like Yitro and identify the weaknesses of themselves and others, not for the purpose of exploitation, but to help those who are weak become stronger. This, at its heart, is the essence of the covenant, protecting the weak simply because they cannot protect themselves. And it is through Yitro that Bnei Israel is able to create a system that supports and perpetuates those values, not just for Moshe's generation, but also for all the ones who follow. Shabbat Shalom.